I'm Julia Bailey with W.I.N Coaching, and I'm really excited to share this goal framework with you today. This is something that can be used especially when you're doing something you've never done before, or doing something that involves other people and you really can't control the outcome. So examples might be, you're hosting an online meeting for the first time and there's some nerves associated with technology and doing things new. Maybe you're applying for a job or submitting a proposal to a client where there's really not much you can do about whether or not somebody else says yes. But this framework really sets the stage for you to show up in a way that you can be really proud of, and also make sure that you win no matter what. So let's dive into it. Let's use the example of applying for a job. So the first step, there are 3 stages to this framework. W.I.N, it's the WIN goal framework. So the W stands for want. What do you really want? And the reason this comes first is because if we don't get it out, if we don't acknowledge what it is that we really, really want, it can actually be more distracting because we're trying to push it down and focus on other pieces without saying, you know what, yes, this is something that I really want. And by addressing it first, we get it out and make room, create some headspace for the other components of this framework, which I think are going to be a little bit more useful, but we can't skip over what it is that you really want. So in the example of applying for a job, a lot of times what you really want is to get the job, is for the interviewers to say, yes, you're hired. And that's okay. That's super natural, and it's why you're applying in the first place for a lot of people. So the second stage is shifting a focus from what it is that I really want, because when you're focused on that, it's really hard to show up the way you want to. You're worried about something that you don't have control over, and that doesn't really, a focus on that doesn't give you more energy. It doesn't help you tweak your performance so that you're showing up the best way possible. So the second component of the framework is the I, which is for impact or influence. What can you influence? What do you have an impact on? And that is how you show up, your performance. Maybe you go into it and the goal around impact and influence is that you want to speak clearly, you want to present yourself, and there are 3 things that you want the interviewer to know about you before you leave. And so those are 3 things that you're going to highlight in the interview about yourself. Maybe you want to be sure to show up with curiosity, and so you have some questions about the organization that you're applying for that you want addressed as you're interviewing to show interest, and also that that you really have looked into them and understand a little bit about what they do and how you show up, what you can impact. You can design that your way. What is it that you want to come across or bring across, and how do you want to sort of design practice for that kind of performance? And I don't mean, when I talk about performance, this is an authentic performance, but it's any time that you perform, anytime you are showing up to create an outcome. So that leads to the last part of this model, which is the N. And, even when we do have control over how we show up and what it is that we're bringing across, things can still go in a sideways direction. Maybe we mumbled something or didn't do something the way that we planned, and that's okay. And so in order to continue to show up and in a way that gets you back on track, and also maybe even adds energy to what you're doing, is to focus on how you can win no matter what. And that's the N, no matter what else happens, what can you get out of this experience? And so for some people, doing a job interview and the experience of interviewing itself is a win, because you're able to learn from it and bring that new experience to the next interview, and even confidence. Maybe it's that you really want to know about this company that you're applying with and they're super interesting, and so the way you can win no matter what is by asking questions about how they operate and learning new things about that industry or that business. So there's a lot of ways, but the focus is on learning and gaining experience, and what specific experience you can gain. And sometimes for me, especially when I switch focus to what I can learn, I actually get a little more gutsy in the questions that I'm willing to ask and the things that I'm willing to say, because at that point it's about learning. And instead of worrying about closing a deal, getting the job, having a flawless Zoom conference call, the focus is completely different, and that's where I think the most energy is to be gained. And so by focusing on how you can learn from it, you can really raise your energy and confidence, and oftentimes that focus actually gets us back on track, and we can end up getting what we really want because we have that focus on what we can learn. And so this framework is a way to open up space, focus on our performance, but also on what that takeaway is. And that's what mastery mindset is all about. It's the focus on the journey, not the outcome. So I hope this has been helpful. And if you want to go deeper and have a discussion about it, or learn more about how I help clients through coaching, I would love to talk to you. You can reach me through my website at lifewins.com or here on Facebook. Thanks for watching.